All right, everybody, Thursday afternoon, 2:30. We'll go ahead and get this break started. Welcome. My name is Luis Morales. I am a health fitness specialist with Exos at Autodesk, and this is, Stretch Break on a Thursday afternoon, the last live offering of the week. Big reminder out there, though, guys, we do record these breaks and archive them on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, type in Exos at Autodesk. You should be able to find our channel. And we've organized all these videos into their own separate playlists, so should be pretty easy to find. Really good option if you can't make it to these live ones. So just wanted to shout out a reminder for that. Before we get started, I kind of have a good idea of what I want to go through for this session, but I'm always up for suggestions. So if you guys have anything that you feel needs a little bit of extra love or a little bit of extra stretching, go ahead and drop it in the chat. You can come off mute and say it out loud, whatever you'd like, and we will work it into this session here today. All right, Brittany says, Pretzel, oddly specific request, can definitely accommodate. Let me write that down. Pretzel is always good, really checks a lot of boxes at the same time. I appreciate that input. All right, anybody else with any suggestions before we get going? Okay, I'm not seeing anything in the chat, but I will keep an eye on it, guys, as we go through. If you're feeling inspired, go ahead and make a suggestion while we're moving. What we're gonna start with today, though, guys, is we're gonna start in standing. So let's get away from the desk, get away from the chair. We're just gonna stand up, start by moving those shoulders a little bit. So we're gonna plant the feet about shoulder width apart, hip width. And we're gonna start just by practicing kind of pinching our shoulder blades together. So the arms can relax down by our sides. This is kind of the most basic part of the row. We're just gonna pinch those shoulder blades together as much as we can for a second or two, and then relax. So let's go through. We can just start to kind of move at our own pace here. Feel free to close your eyes, start to focus on the breathing, and focus on how hard and how much you can bring those shoulder blades together. With this, we don't want to really feel any shrugging here. Shoulders are being pulled just back and together, kind of squeezing everything from the shoulder blade area, even down into the mid back, even the lower back a little bit. Big squeeze around the spine. Let's continue. We're going to do a couple more here. This is helping to kind of undo that desk posture that we so often get into. Seated at the desk, driving, etc. We do a lot of stuff seated these days. Let's make this one, next one, our last one. Big pinch, hold it. And we can relax on that exhale. Good job, you guys. Okay, next up, we're gonna stay in standing. We'll do a little bit of a side stretch here, lengthen out the side body. So if your feet are kind of narrow, we can go ahead and widen them out. As you guys can see, I'm about hip width here with the stance. Toes are pointed forward like I'm standing on some train tracks. Now, what I'm going to do is grab my right wrist, or excuse me, my left wrist with my right hand. And then I'm going to raise my arms up overhead here, biceps near the ears. I'm not shrugging. So now what I'm going to do is shift all my weight into that left leg, poke that left hip out, and I can use my right arm to pull my left up overhead, and we can get into a nice little side stretch here. Now, we don't have to go for anything that's feeling too crazy. We still want this to be comfortable. We want to be able to breathe. Check in where your hips, they feel under you. Breathing into this side stretch here, guys. Pulling on that left wrist. Nicely done. Control. Let's do one more big breath. Nicely done. We can bring our hips back to the middle. Bring those arms down for just a quick sec and switch the grip. So we're going to do the other side now. Left hand is going to wrap around my right wrist. Raising those arms up, biceps near the ears, but we're not shrugging. I'll shift all the weight into that right leg, poke that right hip out, and now we can use the left arm to pull on the right a little bit here. Can bring the hips under you, and we're just breathing into that outstretched side body. Nicely done here, you guys. Control this stretch. Doesn't have to be in super, super intense. We want it to be medium. Last breath. Good. And on that exhale, we can return the hips to the middle. We can bring those arms down, shake them out a little bit if you need to. And next, we're going to get into a standing quad stretch. Now, I don't want this to be a balance thing to challenge your balance here today, guys. So if you have a piece of furniture nearby that you can go ahead and rest a hand on, or maybe it's a wall or something solid, just so we're not making this a balance thing, go ahead and find something. I'm going to use my chair here. I'm going to start by planting my right foot nice and solid on the ground, gripping the ground with my foot, and then I'm going to bring my left heel up towards my glute, grabbing onto my left ankle here, pulling that in towards my glute. And what we want to make sure is that this leg is kind of pointed straight down. You'll see my knees are kind of right next to each other here, as opposed to having one leg kind of way out to the side. That's how we know it's tight, but we got to bring it in closer to the middle to get a nice efficient quad stretch, stretching all those muscles instead of just a couple. So once we can find this position, we're up nice and tall. We're breathing kind of into the stomach area, feeling that stretch. Just hang out here, guys. Breathe into that tension. Let's do one more big breath here. There we go. All right. After that exhale, we can slowly release the foot, control it down to the ground. Same deal, other side now. So feel free to switch up the hand support. We're going to bring that right heel in towards the glute. Grab onto that right ankle, that right foot. We're trying to find that same form here. So if you look at me real quick, whoops, it's a balance thing for me right now. There we go. So the right knee is real close to my left. It's pretty much pointing straight down. I'm feeling the stretch throughout all those quad muscles on my right side. A little pro tip too, if you guys are having trouble reaching the foot or the ankle, grabbing a hand towel or something small like that, wrapping it around the foot or ankle, and then holding on to the towel itself may make your grip a lot easier and help out with making the stretch more efficient for you. It'll be more comfortable. You might be able to stand a little bit better and breathe a little bit better. So win-win. Try it out if you're having trouble reaching that foot or ankle. All right, next breath will be our last here, guys. Bringing that heel even a little bit in closer to the glute if we can manage. Well done, you guys. Let's slowly release that foot. Control it all the way to the ground. Nice work. Okay. Next up, we're going to come down to the ground and we're going to do one more thing before we end with the pretzel. So I'm going to bring my camera down and you guys can see what I'm doing down here. We're going to come down to our backs and stretch out the back of our hips. Really good spot to keep kind of loose, quote unquote, just so that we don't get any major nerve compression. Lots of the times we see nerve compression, more often than not, it's a little bit closer than the hips than we'd like it to be, sending pain or other symptoms down into the legs. So let's go ahead and stretch out the back of the hips, and we're going to do a different type of piriformis stretch than we're normally used to. Figure 4 is kind of the norm, but we're going to just do the kind of adducted one here today. So let's take that left ankle. We'll rest it on top of that right knee. And from here, we're going to go ahead and interlace those fingers around that left knee. We want to be able to keep the back of our pelvis even on the ground here. So as we tug, it'll be easy to kind of pull the pelvis off here. Keep that back of the pelvis nice and even on the ground. And we're going to pull that knee across the body up towards the right shoulder as much as we can while keeping the pelvis glued to the ground there. And we're looking for a stretch in that rear left hip. Everyone's different with this one, so you might have to pull a little bit more to the right or a little bit higher and close to the chest. Play around with it, see what works for you. Once you find some medium tension, we're just breathing into that stomach. And as we go, you might have to intensify that pull just a little bit, just to make sure we're still hitting that kind of medium threshold of stretch, keeping that pelvis glued to the back of the ground here. Nicely done, you guys. Let's do one more breath. All right, we can go ahead and relax on that exhale. We're going to turn it over to the other side. Right ankle comes up to rest on the left knee. You can grab outside of that right knee before we pull. We're making sure the back of our pelvis is glued to the ground. Then we can start to pull kind of to our left and up a little bit. Some combination of those two. Looking for a stretch in the rear right hip. Breathe deeply into that stretch here, you guys. Well done, you guys. Well done. It's a great one to do after you travel. Just sitting on those plane seats does not feel good. All right, after that most recent exhale, we can go ahead and release the tension there. We're going to stay here on the ground for everybody's favorite, the Pretzel. So let's start. I'm going to start on my right side here, guys. Feel free to grab something if you'd like something to support your head. You can also let the head float or just hang out on the ground, up to you. So here on my right side, what I'm going to do is take my bottom arm, the one closest to the ground. It's going to connect with the top of my left thigh or my left knee here, coming out in front of my body. Now, my top arm, the one closer to the ceiling, is going to go ahead and reach back for the left ankle or the left foot. I don't know why I'm saying left, it should be right. That whatever bottom leg you got going on there, that's the foot and ankle that we're reaching for. And once we get our grips going here, guys, what we're doing is pulling that bottom leg heel into the glute. We're taking a deep breath, and on that exhale, we're opening up, trying to touch that top back shoulder to the ground, or at least turn as much as we can to try and get there. So we're in this big outstretched position here, a lot of twisting, a lot of stretching in different places. And once we can find a comfortable spot, we're going to breathe and breathe nice and deep through that torso. You might hear some pops and some cracks, and that's generally okay. Good work, you guys. Good work with each breath and exhale. Maybe we're getting a little bit closer to having that back shoulder on the ground, maybe not. Good job, you guys. Let's hang for one more breath. All right, let's start to release by slowly releasing that bottom leg, that foot and that ankle. Letting that bottom leg straighten out. We can kind of twist. Let go of that left top knee. You guys can go ahead and flip over. I'm going to go ahead and turn myself around just so you can continue to see my front side. Setting up the same way, mirrored on the other side here. So now my top leg, my right leg, is going to be anchored to the ground by my bottom arm, which is the left arm. Bottom leg, which is the left. It's going to go ahead and bend at the knee. We're going to try and grab that foot or ankle, bring that heel in towards the glute here. So keeping that knee, front knee connected to the ground, we're going to try and open up, turning our head, turning through the spine, trying to touch that back shoulder to the ground. Breathing through that tension. I know there's a lot. Trying to relax into that stretch a little bit more with each exhale. This is also a position where you're having trouble reaching that foot or the ankle. A hand towel usually is the best solution, so we can loop it around the ankle and still grab onto it, still get a nice efficient stretch in, but not be too bent through other spots of our body that, we're not doing it right anymore. Let's do a couple more breaths here. We're still opening up. Last one here, guys. All right, good job, you guys. All right, let's start to come out of this by slowly releasing that bottom leg, that foot or that ankle. We can straighten that leg out. We can release our grip from that top leg. Feel free to roll yourselves onto your sides or back, whatever you need to do to comfortably sit up again. That is all the time I have left for this stretch break here today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And don't forget, tomorrow is a special day. I can't believe it's tomorrow. It is Bike to Wherever Day, where we're challenging you to run, walk, or bike 30 minutes in the morning before work, and then join us at 8:30 a.m. for a little mobility session led by yours truly. So it's going to be fun. I'm going to go ahead and throw my own selfie for my ride up onto Slack. We'd love to see your guys's experiences and selfies and all that good stuff up on Slack as well. So looking forward to that. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. See you guys next time.
Thanks, Elise. That was a good one. Bye.
See ya, Helen. Have a good day.
You too.